Hey guys, welcome back to Flicks Recap. My name is Luke Pelletier, and today we're covering the 2013 rom-com, The To-Do List. Before we start, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to Flicks Recap if you dig the breakdown. And, as a disclaimer, this video includes my own personal commentary and analysis. It's not a substitute for the film itself. Links to purchase the film are in the description below. Alrighty, let's get to it. The movie starts off by introducing us to Brandy Clark, a straight-A high school valedictorian with the highest GPA in the history of her school and great academic achievements. At her graduation, giving her graduation speech when other kids tell her to get off the stage and start calling her a virgin. After graduation, Brandy's friends Fiona and Wendy take Brandy to a house party against her will since they want her to come out of her bubble. On the way to the party, Brandy makes a list of all the things they need to do before college, like have a sleepover, buy new notebooks, that kind of stuff. When they get to the party, Brandy's disgusted by everything, and she wants to leave until she sees Rusty Waters, an old guy who is in college singing a song while playing his guitar, and Brandy gets feelings for a guy for the first time and impulsively starts drinking and partying. Ah yes, let's ask the good people of Flint, Michigan how refreshing something like Rusty Waters sounds. Jesus Jones. After chugging beer upside down, Brandy's super drunk, and her friends lay her down inside one of the rooms in the house. Meanwhile, a girl is talking with Rusty and tells him she wants to play hide and seek, and that she'll be waiting for him in a room wearing her birthday suit. After a while, Rusty walks into the room which Brandy's in and starts undressing and kissing Brandy since it's dark. Oh my, Rusty is about to get me too'd so quickly. When he realizes Brandy isn't who he thought she was, he turns on the light and leaves. Later that night, while Brandy's in the bathroom because she's been throwing up, she tells her friends about what happened, and they tell her it was a missed opportunity to give away her flower. Wow, that is not the kind of moral support Brandy needs. The next morning at the breakfast table, Brandy tells her parents about what she did the night before because she's such a good daughter and honesty is the only standard in her household, and she tells her parents they should ground her. Her sister Amber, who just got engaged to some guy she met in college, calls her crazy for telling them, and her parents choose to not ground her because of her honesty. Later that day, Brandy starts her new job at the local pool, which is where she runs into Rusty, who's now her colleague, and he apologizes for the night before. She also meets Willie, her boss, who doesn't really do anything. And she's disappointed because they don't really do anything productive at the pool when it's closed. The next day, Brandy asks her parents about losing her virginity, but because her dad is very strict, they don't really tell her anything. So later she talks to Amber, who's more experienced, and she tells her it's important to lose her virginity before college because once you get there, you should know what you're doing. So Brandy goes to her room and gets her notebook. She rips out her to-do list and creates a new one full of experiences that she's going to have, containing all kinds of jobs, and at the very end of the list is her end goal to lose her virginity to Rusty Waters. She goes to the local fast food chain where her friends work and shows them the list, and they're very impressed. Afterwards, she goes to the pool to work her first day while it's open, and she starts getting pranked by all the kids and her colleagues. They throw her in the water, put mayo in her sunscreen, and soap in her whistle. When a kid drops a deuce inside the pool, Willie tells her to take it out, and Brandy thinks it's another prank and assumes it's actually food and takes a bite. Oh my. When she realizes it's not, she runs out of the pool to the bathroom. After the pool closes, Brandy's alone with her boss and he falls into the water, but he can't swim. She thinks it's another prank, but when she realizes it's not, she takes him out, and when she threatens to let people know he actually can't, he asks her to teach him. And she agrees as long as she's getting paid for it. Atta girl, Brandy. That night, Brandy and her friends go over to Cameron's house, one of Brandy's best friends, and he secretly has a crush on her and he's having a hangout. While looking through the list on the way to his house, they decide Brandy should get finger banged that night. Yes, they spin the wheel and, Brandy, looks like you're getting finger banged. Oh my. When they get there, the guy who Brandy had in mind to do the job has wounds on all of his fingers, which puts her off, obviously. So when she's in the kitchen and sees Cameron double wash his hands, she takes him with her to the couch and they start making out. All right, if you've made it this far, you're kicking back and enjoying the video. Now would be a great time to subscribe to Flicks Recap. Subscribing is absolutely free, and it helps me bring you even more dope content. Okay, plug over. Back to the recap. She tells him to touch her, and she's ready to stripe one thing off of her list. The next day, when her friends ask about it at the pool, she tells them that she didn't really like it at all, and that it felt like an itch she couldn't scratch. Ugh. That night, Brandy decides to try touching herself to get that itch off the list. And after a rough start, she starts thinking about Rusty, and just as she's done, Amanda walks in and catches her. That's when Cameron calls and asks Brandy on a date. She's not super into the idea, but she looks at the list and tells him, yeah, what the hell. So the next night they go out to the movies, and this time she touches him, and when she's done, he tells her he loves her, but she ignores it because she's preoccupied with other stuff. The next day, Brandy's working at the pool again, and she wants to look good for Rusty, so she goes into the Lost and Found and finds a bikini, which she starts wearing instead of her usual swimsuit. When she takes the slide into the water and gets out, everyone starts looking at her weird and laughing, and Rusty tells her that her top came off. Two kids take her top and throw it around so that she can't get it, and everyone laughs at her for being small up there, so she walks to the back and puts her swimsuit on. The next day, while at the pool again, Fiona and Wendy are also there, and Rusty starts kinda digging Brandy. Brandy also reads that if guys drink a lot of pineapple juice, they're, how can I put this? Stinky, scalding hot wad is supposed to taste sweet. But her friends don't believe her. Brandy hears about Rusty playing a show and tells her friends that they should go there, and afterwards, Cameron asks Brandy on another date. Brandy says yes, again, without paying too much attention. That night, Brandy, wearing a push-up bra from her sister, and the girls go to the bar where Rusty was supposed to have a show, but another band is playing. When Brandy asks them about Rusty, whether he's coming or not, the band takes them on stage, and after the show, they hang out in their van. Meanwhile, Cameron gets to Brandy's house to take her out on a date, but Brandy's not there, so he waits in her room, and he finds her to-do list. Back in the van, Brandy makes the whole band drink a ton of orange juice and drive to the pool. When they get there, Fiona and Wendy start making out with the drummer and guitarist, and Brandy starts talking to the singer, who you might know as Jake Peralta. I can't help but notice nobody approached the bassist. If you know, you know. She then takes him to the showers and gets on her knees, and after a while the guy starts singing very loudly, which wakes Willie up, who's sleeping in the office, since apparently he's homeless and lives at the pool. When he walks out to see what's happening and is shocked, he asks Brandy what's going on, but she can't talk until she doesn't have a mouthful. Willie gets mad and tells the girls that they should be in bed and not doing this stuff with a bunch of older guys, and that they should be responsible. And when he asks Brandy what she would have done if he wasn't there, she tells him she probably would have swallowed. Oh my god, what the hell? Yeah, don't let your kids watch this, guys. Jesus. Her friends laugh and ask if it actually tasted like pineapple juice, which it didn't, and then they leave to go home. When Brandy gets home, Cameron is still there waiting for her, and he gets mad at her and almost starts crying for just using him to cross off things on her list. She tells him she feels bad and didn't think the fact that he told her he loved her was serious, which is when Cameron leaves and tells her he hopes she gets an STD through her whole to-do list. Harsh, but fair. Brandy tells her friends about what happened, and when they ask about how she feels about Cameron, she tells them that she never really looked at him that way. Cameron also tells his friend Duffy about what happened and Brandy's list, and instead of being a good friend, Duffy takes advantage of the situation. He invites Brandy over and offers to dry hump her, which is still a thing on her to-do list, so she does it. The next day at the school, he also tells his friend Derek about the list, and Derek gets Brandy into bed and touches her orally. The next night, when the girls are having a sleepover, Fiona tells Brandy she wants to go out with Cameron, which Wendy thinks is a violation of girl code. But then Fiona tells Wendy about how Brandy dry-humped Derek, who Wendy apparently has a crush on, and it turns into a huge mess. So Wendy and Fiona just go home again. The next day, when Brandy gets to the pool, there's spray paint everywhere, and it's totally vandalized. And Willie tells her that the guys from the bigger pool in town do it every year, so he just cleans it up and leaves them alone. But Brandy wants revenge and convinces him to come with her. So the whole team breaks into the other pool and they put soap on their water slide, so the whole pool is surrounded by soap. When they're done, Brandy and Rusty get onto the slide and into the water, and Rusty kisses Brandy. And later, Willie joins them and poops in the pool. However, they're caught because Brandy left her bra at the pool, which she wrote her name on. So she's fired because that's the only way the other guys from the pool wouldn't get Willie's pool shut down. The next day, Brandy calls up Rusty and just straight up asks him to go out with her on a date, and he says yes. So that night, they drive up to Beaver Creek, a famous hookout place for obvious reasons, and they start making out in the back of Rusty's car, and then they do it. Rusty doesn't last very long, which is pretty disappointing to Brandy. And after they're done, she looks out the window, she sees her dad and mom in the next car, so she tells Rusty to drive her home. When they get home, Cameron's waiting there and he tries fighting Rusty, but fails miserably. And Brandy calms him down and tells him that she doesn't need a serious relationship right now since they're only in high school. She's just experimenting. Then she realizes she needs to make things right with Fiona and Wendy. Brandy's parents get home and her dad runs up, after seeing her I guess at Beaver Creek, and opens Brandy's room, which is when Amanda's in there doing the deed with Willie since she found out her fiancé cheated on her and Willie came to the house to check on Brandy. This freaks their dad out even more. Meanwhile, Brandy went over to Fiona's house where she and Wendy were having a sleepover, and Brandy sings their favorite song, tells them she's sorry, and they make up, and she tells her about what actually happened with Rusty. This is when Brandy's dad knocks on the door to ask if it's actually her he saw, and he tells her he just wants her to be safe since he loves her so much. And that's why he's always been harsh on her. The next night, Brandy visits Willie at the pool, who's now sort of seeing Amanda, and he offers her her job back for the next summer. Cut to a couple years later, Brandy and Cameron meet back up in college, and he tells her that he actually lost his virginity. Brandy congratulates him, because what else do you do with that information, and tells him sometimes doing it can just be casual, and they go into her room and do the deed. And just after they're done, Brandy's father walks in, and we, the viewer, walk out. Whew, my oh my, I am amazed that we made it through. I will also be amazed if Flix Recap stays monetized after this one. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next recap. Until next time.